All right, injuries for practice today. Banks concussion, will not practice. Trent Williams ankle, no practice. Jordan Mason ankle, no practice. Bosa hip oblique, no practice. Flanagan Fowles knee, no practice. Demo knee limited. Greenlaw Achilles limited. Huff wrist limited. Everyone else good.
The prognosis on Jordan Mason improved since he's not going on IR?
No, he most likely will later. Yeah.
What was Hufanga going to practice with as far as his wrist?
He's got some stuff covering it up. Club similar, like I think it's similar to Jimmy Ward's. Haven't seen it yet, but it'll be similar to that.
And as far as Greenlaw, you noted last week that you got a quick turnaround after this Bears game. Does that make the Rams game the more realistic game that he could play in?
Yeah, I think it does. More likely. I mean, we haven't decided fully yet, but we'll see how this week goes. But most likely Rams, hopefully.
What kind of growth have you seen from Isaac Guerrero this year, and what's kind of his state of readiness for an expanded role?
I think he's ready to go. I mean, we were excited about, he got off to a late start with injuries in preseason. I thought he finished in those games well, especially that kick return, he had versus the Raiders, I think. Did some decent things when he started out. Didn't get a lot of carries, had some ups and downs, but got better through everything. And then when he got the bulk of the carries, I want to say some more versus Seattle, he only got better, and he's got better throughout the year. So I think he's ready for this.
Are there specific things that you've seen from him? That is it just maybe getting the reps or getting the snaps?
I think just the urgency of running the ball in the NFL. I mean, I think it takes guys some time. You start to get a feel for it. The more, if you got the right stuff, the more you get reps, the more you can adjust to it. How hard you got to hit stuff, how quick those holes close, how when there is a hole, how you have to hit at full speed and can't hesitate at all, or it closes like that. So we've seen that stuff get better in practice, and we've seen it carry over to games.
His background includes in high school as being a wide receiver. Does he have hands, the good receiving skills that you've seen?
Yeah, he can catch it. Yeah.
What have you seen out of Ricky Pearsall the last 3 games when he hasn't had a catch and hasn't had many targets?
I mean, I think Ricky got a little banged up and in Green Bay, battled through that a lot, still was able to play a lot through it and helped us out at punt return. And I don't judge much from that Buffalo game. I mean, I think we had 6 completions that were screens, and I think 4 other guys had like a 4-yard catch, except for Juwan on a skinny. So like, there was nothing really with Ricky there. We had a chance to hit him downfield one time, and he slipped. But that was nothing against him for that game.
Coach, I know you said it on Monday. You hadn't yet had a chance to kind of talk to Christian after getting the news. How is he kind of doing? It's clearly been a taxing year on his body and more than likely mentally. How is Christian McCaffrey knowing that he's out for the rest of the season?
I think he's doing all right. I mean, I think he was extremely disappointed. I mean, right when it happened, for a couple of days, just talking to him yesterday, I think he's accepting it. It's just not his year, obviously, the way it started out, how hard he worked to get back, and then having that random injury that he had in Buffalo. So I know he's disappointed about the year, but I know he's excited and hungry as hell to get back to work and get ready for next year.
Is there a certainty that Bosa will be able to play again this season?
I mean, I'm not God, but I think he's got a chance to play this week. So I would think that would lead to getting a better chance each week. But I don't know the answer to that.
What do you know about your new running back, Israel Abanikanda? What do you like about him?
I mean, I liked him coming out of college. I haven't studied him a ton in the NFL, but he was a guy that I had good notes on from college and liked. And, and I know our scouting department thought his best guy out there being available and stuff. So in our situation especially, glad to get him here.
Was he one of the running backs that Bobby was on to in the 23 draft doing the phone calls and things like that?
If Bobby's on every single one. So, yes, definitely.
What do you see from Caleb Williams?
What's that?
What do you see from Caleb Williams?
I mean, as talented as there is, I mean, just the stuff that you saw in college, you can see in the NFL. I mean, as good of a thrower as there is, born to play the position, got the athletic ability to do whatever. He's got the speed to do whatever. He's gotten a lot of playing time. He's getting better as this year goes. I think he's getting a lot more consistent. I think he's been playing his best ball probably here the last few weeks. He's put him in a chance to win here in these last few games.
I know you coach that you're preparing for or during season, so there's just only so much they can alter.
Yeah, a little of both. I mean, there's only so much new coaches can do. I mean, they're not going to change a ton up. But, I mean, they can have a different approach. You can have a different vibe from the team and stuff like that. And so you got to be prepared for everything. But, there's only so much.
Could McCaffrey potentially be back in a playoff scenario?
Yeah, I believe so. I think usually they say that injury is like a 6-week injury, so that would give a chance.
You mentioned after the trade deadline, it's a risk to make a move at the deadline. It's a risk to kind of back at it with any regrets? I mean, you can't predict what was going to happen, but regrets not being more aggressive.
No, because I don't think. I mean, how many aggressive moves you want to make? You know, and you make one aggressive move, but I don't think that. And what's happened, just one player would have changed anything in these last 3 weeks. Then when you do that, it just hurts you more going forward. So, no regrets at all on that. Not to mention there wasn't really something sitting there that was enticing, even if it was considered a big move. So I didn't really see that option, and you don't ever want to do that just to do it either.
What stands out about the Bears' defense when you watch them?
I mean, I think they're a real good defense. You know, I think how good they are in the red zone. I think they're ranked number 2 in the red zone. I think they're top 5 at getting turnovers. I think they're top 5 on third down. It's, you know, when they're top 5 in getting turnovers, and their offense, I think, is number 1 at not giving up turnovers. It's usually a really good formula for winning. It's, you look at their team as a whole. They started out 4-2. They went on a bye. They lost the next game on a Hail Mary versus a good team in Washington, which, you know, so you'd like to say they should have been 5-2. And the next 5 games after that, you know, they got blown out 2 after that. But these last 3 games, they played as good as any team in the league, playing Minnesota, Green Bay, and Detroit, losing by a total of 7 points. So I see a defense that is capable of being a playoff defense. They played like it all year. They've just come up short here in these last 5 games.
Last week, Christian said that he felt the vibes outside the building were a lot lower than the vibes inside the building. After Sunday, do you feel the same way about that? Do you have confidence that you guys have the vibes to make the run?
I mean, I don't know. We don't go off vibes as much. I mean, you know, we were pretty disappointed after that game and stuff. That takes time. But you don't need much more than 48 hours. We're in here on Wednesday. Guys are ready to go to work. I mean, I think when you compare outside the building, inside the building, I mean, we're a football team that goes to work and tries to get better each day we're here. If you spend your day outside the building just reading and stuff, I'm sure your vibes won't be the same. But our vibes here are all about work, and that's what we enjoy doing.
When you're looking at their run defense and all the rushing touchdowns that have been given up this season, why is that happening? Is it just breakdowns at every level of the run defense when you get down in there?
Yes, I think there's not, when you ask why, I mean, we can go into a ton of things, but the bottom line is we haven't played good enough run defense. You look at all of our losses. I mean, these last 2 weeks have been as bad as it gets, especially, you know, when you give up the run game like we have in these last 2 weeks in the first half. The game's almost over before it starts, going into that second half. Still thought we had every chance to make it a game in the second half, but that's when we had our 3 turnovers in both games, which leads to blowouts. If you look at all of our losses this year, I think the least amount of yards we give up in a loss is close to 150. So we haven't been stopping the run well enough that, you know, starts with people being out of gaps. It can go to missed tackles. It can go to not getting off the field on third down so they get a few more runs called. Can go to not getting enough turnovers. And it can go to missed assignments. So it's all of the above.
I never asked you about Brock and the fumble that happened. Is there anything that he could have done, or was it just a slip out of his hand?
I mean, it just slipped out of his hand. I mean, I wish it didn't. You know, it's not like you put different grip really on your hands and stuff. You know, so you got to change your motion up a little bit, but that's also why you try to avoid throwing a lot in those situations. And that's what you try to do, but sometimes you can't avoid it, especially on third downs and things like that. And that's the challenges of playing in those conditions.
How hard was it to kind of judge his performance in Buffalo?
I mean, it is. I mean, you take that all with a grain of salt, but we watch each clip and we talk through it. And, I mean, that was, you know, it's always bad play when you lose the ball. But as far as going through a progression where the ball should have gone, you know, that was his number 2 in the read. He looked at George. They moved zone coverage. He took a hitch and was going to rip it to the left side and was going to have an explosive to JJ, and the ball slipped out. So, yeah, I don't want to say that was one of his better plays, but he was doing everything right on that play, and I think we all saw why the ball slipped. There's plays in this game that we can coach him up to be better on, and there's some plays where it's like that, where it's an unfortunate situation.
Ross will go today.
Yeah. Yep.
Juwan,
Last one, guys.
he's had, twice after he's had great games, 10+ catches against the Rams and Seahawks. He hasn't talked to the media, which, you know, we would like to talk to him, but I don't know, he's so pissed about losing, even though he had a great game. I don't know, is that reflective of anything about him or his competitiveness?
I don't know. I didn't even know he wasn't talking to you guys. So that's the first I've heard. Can I do that too? Maybe Jawan's just smarter than I am. Yeah, I didn't know. Jawan's an emotional dude, and that's what makes him so great. I mean, you guys see how he plays. And Jawan's one of my favorite people in the world. I mean, he's unique and just the energy he brings to everything. And I haven't asked him because I didn't know that, but I'm sure he hasn't been in the mood after games. He takes those hard,
Okay, can I ask a follow-up?
I guess.
Not to kiss your butt or anything, but you're not a bad loser. I mean, you may be a bad loser, but in public, in press conferences, you answer the questions. Not every coach does that. And like after Green Bay, you're like getting more questions, and most coaches are like out of there. Is that your dad, or is that just you as far as how you're supposed to handle things?
I don't know. That's just how I am. I answer questions. I'm not a good, I don't make stuff up, so I try to answer your guys' questions, especially if it's not a stupid question. Sometimes I struggle with ones that I don't understand. Forgive me if I think they're stupid. They might not be. I just don't understand them all, but that's how I do press conferences. I answer the questions. So I always try to do that without hurting our own team, and that's really about as simple as I keep it. But no, I don't take losing well, but I'm not showing you guys how I deal with my life in these 8 great minutes. All right, guys. Thanks.